Somehow, another year of life in K-dramas has gone by without me realizing. I usually watch a mix of older and newer dramas, but this year I really prioritized watching newer ones so that I could create a ranking list again, because I had a lot of fun doing last year's. Overall, I enjoyed most of the dramas I watched this year, at least to some extent, but unlike previous years, there wasn't really that one or two dramas that took over my life and had me counting down the days for the next episode. This year had a lot of good, even great dramas, but not really any all-time dramas. For me at least. So I'm going to rank these dramas from my least favorite to my most favorite to create some tension. I've also made longer videos on some of these dramas throughout the year, so if you want my more detailed thoughts, I'll link the videos I've made for you to check out. By the way, if you want regular K-pop and K-drama content, you should subscribe to my channel. Okay, on to the ranking. The Heavenly Idol starts off as a pretty cute drama that's half idol drama and half fantasy drama. Our male lead, played by Kim Min-kyu, is a mythical priest who lives in the other world and is accidentally sent to Earth and switches places with his Earth doppelganger who is a K-pop idol. The drama follows our mythical priest as he tries to navigate the K-pop idol world in order to go back to his world with the help of our female lead, his manager. Kim Min-kyu gives an amazing performance and he is so funny in this role. I'd say better than his business proposal character. He's just very confused about everything on Earth, and the way that he overreacts and freaks out about everything is really funny. The drama's at its best when it leans into the fish out of water and idol story instead of the fantasy story. The beginning of the drama does well to balance the two genres, and I didn't mind the fantasy too much, but by the end it veered too far into the darker fantasy elements for my liking. By the end of the drama, the tone becomes less funny, more serious, and overall less enjoyable. I think the biggest reason that the fantasy elements lost my interest was the weak antagonist. Our antagonist is the devil, literally. Having the literal devil be your antagonist has so much potential, and he could have been so cartoonishly bad and funny to match the initial vibe of the drama, but he's not. He's just kind of boring. I also didn't really get his reasoning behind certain actions, even though his overall motive of wanting to cause pain and mess with our mythical priest made sense to me. I mean, he's the devil, so if they just wanted to make him bad for the sake of it, that would have been fine. But they kind of tried to add a tragic backstory of some sort, which didn't really land for me. By the end, I felt myself forcing my way through the drama, which is too bad, because it started off as a super fun drama that didn't take itself too seriously. All That We Loved is probably one of the shortest dramas I've seen, with just 8 30-minute episodes. The drama is a story of the friendship between two boys in high school, with one of them donating their kidney to the other friend. It follows their friendship and their love triangle with the girl who transfers to their school. It takes place in the mid-2000s, so it has a bit of a nostalgic feel to it. I think the drama does a good job at establishing its nostalgic vibe, and it kind of feels like 25-21 in that you really do feel like you're watching people from a different, maybe more simple time. Sehun's performance is great. His character is pretty outspoken and witty, and he plays that really well, while also selling the more emotional parts of the story. The friendship between the two characters was nicely written, but I felt like the two leads didn't have that much chemistry. I think it takes a little while for their relationship to feel natural. I also didn't really like the female lead that much. I didn't find her character to be very likable or interesting despite her having a mysterious backstory. But what really hurts this drama is the short runtime. They set up so many different storylines, and they don't have enough time to set them up properly. So in my opinion, a lot of the plot points felt unfinished or half-baked. It's a fine, easy to watch drama, but I don't think you're missing too much if you don't watch it. But if you're an EXO fan, you'll probably like this drama because Sehun is probably the best part of it. So when I found out about King the Land before it aired, I was super excited. Two second-gen legends in Yoona and Junho in a rom-com drama? Rich CEO, normal girl trope? Sign me up! I was fully expecting this drama to join the ranks of What's Wrong with Secretary Kim and Business Proposal as one of my favorite dramas. So King the Land follows Chon Sarang, a hotelier at King Hotel in Guwon, the son of King Hotel CEO. Guwon initially has no interest in inheriting the hotel and is doing his own thing in the UK, until a certain non-Yoona situation brings him back to the hotel. So, King the Land is drama of the year, right? I'll start with the positives. Yoona and Junho were great in their roles and they had amazing chemistry. When they're a couple, they're super cute together, and I loved how the writing avoided some of the more frustrating tropes like miscommunications and the random breakup. I also loved the friendship between Sarang and her two best friends. and Sarang and Guwon on their own are very likable characters. Sarang is very sweet, kind, and hardworking, and Guwon is very willing to learn from his mistakes and always acknowledges his blind spots due to his privileged upbringing. He's very open-minded, which is something that makes him stand out from the other rich CEO characters. But besides that, the drama didn't really click with me like I was hoping, and I think there are a few reasons for that. While I liked the two main leads and Sarang's friends, I never really felt much towards the rest of the characters, and what often elevates a lighthearted romantic comedy K-drama for me is the likable and fun side characters. Honestly, most of the side characters in this drama are super mean and judgmental towards Sarang because of her lack of a formal education. Secondly, the development of the main romance felt very sudden and unnatural despite their amazing chemistry. One minute the two leads don't like each other, and then the next minute they like each other, and it's not really clear why. But to be fair, it is Yoona and Junho, so do we really need a reason? Lastly, I think the male lead's motivations were a little confusing. He comes back to the hotel for one reason, but even then, he still has no interest in running the hotel. But by the middle of the drama, he forgets this motive and suddenly takes an interest in running the hotel. So when he's doing hotel businessy things, I wasn't super interested and I found myself feeling a little bored. So this drama was a bit of a disappointment, but it was still cute, and at least I got to see Junho and Yoona for 16 episodes. So really, it wasn't that bad. Usually I love rom-coms, and I especially love the enemies to lovers trope. And Love to Hate You checks both of those boxes. But weirdly, this one didn't hit me as much as I thought it would. Love to Hate You follows our female lead, Yo Miron, an entertainment lawyer who begins to work closely with Nam Kang-ho, a famous actor. Both leads have some apprehension towards the opposite gender due to some past experiences, so they don't really get along in the beginning. I loved the female lead. I thought she was a super cool, badass character, but not in a pick-me way. Like, I never got the sense that she felt superior to other girls because of her abilities or strengths. And I thought the chemistry between the two main leads was good, and I liked how their relationship evolved as they started to learn more about each other and grow to respect one another, looking beyond the preconceptions they have about the other gender. As a couple, they also don't fall into the more frustrating romantic comedy tropes like miscommunications and silly misunderstandings and arguments. But like King the Land, I didn't really feel that much towards the rest of the characters, but this drama at least was funny and better kept my attention, which is why I ranked it above King the Land. Also, in the beginning of the drama, the topic of the gender war comes up, bringing up the idea that men and women don't really get along in modern society, and it uses our two leads as prime examples of this. I thought that could have been a nice opportunity for character development with our leads, allowing them to learn from each other and change their perspective on the opposite gender. I think the female lead's perspective changes a little bit, but the male lead, in my opinion, not really. It seems like he sees the female lead as more of an exception to the norm. To be fair, I don't think an 8-episode rom-com is the best place to discuss gender issues, but it would have been nice if they expanded on it a little bit more if they were going to bring it up. But overall, it is a cute and easy to watch drama, but I wouldn't say it's among my favorites of the genre. The Interest of Love is probably one of the messiest K-dramas I've watched, but in a more subtle and realistic way. It follows bank tellers at KCU Bank as they navigate office-related romance and relationships. It's a frustrating drama to watch at times because of the characters' decision-making or lack of decision-making. But because the writers show us past experiences that explain the characters' behaviors, it's hard to be truly mad at them or dislike them. Plus, the lead actors and actresses give great performances that really bring the writing to life. Our two leads especially did a great job, and they have so much chemistry and tension. They want to be together, but because of their past experiences and societal expectations, they hold themselves back from being truly happy. Because this is a melodrama, there are times where the drama drags and slows down, and I did find myself occasionally checking how much was left in an episode. But then, something big would happen that would grab my attention again and make the wait worth it. It's definitely not a drama for everyone because of its slow pace and its polarizing ending, but personally I enjoyed it, even if it wasn't one of my absolute favorites of the year. Dr. Cha was one of the most popular dramas of the year, and it totally makes sense to me. It's an easy and enjoyable watch despite dealing with some serious storylines. The drama follows Dr. Cha, a stay-at-home mom who decides to return to pursuing her dream of becoming a doctor after giving it up for the sake of her family and raising her 2 children. So I loved Dr. Cha as the protagonist. She's probably my favorite lead of the year. She's so easy to root for, super likable, empathetic towards others, and determined to achieve her dreams despite the odds being against her. The drama really gets you to feel for its characters, whether that's loving and rooting for them, or hating and waiting for their downfall. The secondary characters were interesting to follow as well, particularly Dr. Cha's 2 kids. Her husband though, that's another story. As much as I hated his character, I can't say I didn't enjoy his scenes because the actor did such a great job with his character. But the drama is surprisingly soap opera-y and more drama-filled than I was expecting. And while I did enjoy these aspects of the drama, I do wish we got to see a little more of Dr. Cha developing as a doctor, like dealing with patients, and her struggles and journey of trying to become a doctor after so long. There wasn't anything I really didn't like about this drama from a story perspective. The only reason why it's not super high on my list is because while I loved Dr. Cha as a character, I didn't really love the rest of the drama. It was more of a like I enjoyed it, but I wasn't obsessed with it. I enjoyed watching each episode and I didn't feel like it got dragged or got boring, but I wasn't overly obsessed with Dr. Cha. So I wasn't expecting to like Yoona very much, given the mixed reception it got, but I ended up liking it quite a bit more than I was expecting. It's a very simple slice of life story about Wonjun, an ordinary college student, and Yoona, a famous K-pop idol who decides to leave her life in the spotlight. The two of them develop a friendship that gradually develops into a romance. Wonjun and Yoona had great romantic chemistry, but I like how they start off as just friends and each other's source of support, and later on develop romantic feelings for one another. There wasn't too much going on with this drama in terms of storyline, and it was mostly just following the lives of college students, but still, this drama was very captivating to me. I felt like every character, including the secondary characters, had an interesting backstory that helped flesh them out and made them easy to like and relate to. The drama also does well to avoid some of the more annoying drama tropes like dragged out love triangles and random misunderstandings. Yoona is slow-paced and mellow, but also breezes by because of its short runtime and its ability to spend enough time on a character or situation, but not too much time to the point where it gets boring. If anything, there were some aspects I actually thought were a little rushed, mainly some of the aspects of the romantic relationship. I think overall, Yoona takes a very simple story and does it very well. I do think some of the dramas above this one on my list had a stronger impact on me, which is why Yoona kind of falls in the middle of my list, but I would say that Yoona is just as good as the other dramas I'm about to list. Bora Deborah is such an interesting drama because of how polarizing it seemed to be. Based on the promotion, it seemed like it was going to be your typical, cute, lighthearted rom-com drama, but it isn't quite that. So it follows Bora, a best-selling romance novelist and dating coach, and Soo-hyuk, a publisher. Both characters experience breakups and the drama navigates how they handle and grow from them, while Bora works with Soo-hyuk to write her next relationship and dating book. For a romantic comedy, it's actually kind of dark and serious. And for some people, that was a deal breaker and made them drop the drama. But for me, I actually like that aspect of the drama, and I feel like it made the drama stand out from other dramas of its genre. It's still a pretty light and fluffy drama for the most part, but it deals with all aspects of romantic relationships, including breakups, infidelity, divorce, and more. Fun! It delves into romantic relationships in a way that I haven't seen very often in K-dramas and really dissects their two leads, addressing their flaws, their past, and how that impacts their romantic relationships. We really get to see our leads learn from each other and evolve together as people and romantic partners, and I found that made watching the drama a very rewarding experience. They both felt like very different characters by the end of the drama in the best way possible. I can see why people didn't enjoy this drama and dropped it, because who wants to think and use their brain when watching a romantic K-drama? But I actually really enjoyed this drama and found myself becoming invested in the two leads, their individual growth, and their progression from friends to a couple. I think some pacing issues towards the end of the drama, some unlikable secondary characters, and poorly resolved side stories brings this drama down for me a little bit, which is why it ends up closer to the middle of the pack. But overall, I think this is a very unique romantic K-drama that does a lot to stand out from the rest. Crash Course in Romance started off so good, and it had the potential to be one of my favorite dramas of the year and maybe of all time. It began as a cute, lighthearted, heartwarming, family-oriented drama about a single mom taking care of her teenage daughter as she navigates the intense world of tutoring and academics in Korea. The mother-daughter relationship was so wholesome and sweet, and I loved seeing the unconditional love they had for each other. I also really enjoyed seeing the romance blossom between our leads, a mother who sacrificed her personal life for the sake of her daughter, and a lonely celebrity workaholic tutor. And overall, with an excellent first half, it was setting itself up with a lot of interesting storylines to resolve in the end. But the writers decided, no, we're going to cause chaos. And they decided to bring in a more dark, serious storyline related to some of the dangers of a hyper-competitive, heavily academics-focused society. To be fair, the writers did a good job of setting up the storyline, and it didn't come out of nowhere, but the second half of the drama focuses heavily on this storyline and brings the tone of the drama to a much darker place. And I don't think it ruins the drama per se, but it wasn't really what made me fall in love with it in the first place. I also don't think the storyline was necessary for the writers to make the point they wanted to make. And honestly, my interest did wane by the end of the drama because of the darker tone. Despite this, I still really enjoyed the drama because of its amazing first half, and it's still amongst my favorites of the year. But it could have been one of my favorites of all time. What could have been? I'm surprised by how much I liked Call It Love. It's a very slow, somber melodrama, and it's kind of similar to My Liberation Notes in its vibe, and that's a drama I didn't enjoy very much. But I don't know, this drama worked for me. It follows Sim Woo-ju as she tries to get revenge on her dad's mistress's son, Han Dong-jin, but then ends up catching feelings for him. We also get to see Woo-ju, her siblings, and her best friend as they navigate life. The relationships between Woo-ju and Dong-jin and Woo-ju and her siblings kept me invested because they felt very natural and realistic. All of the characters and their interactions with people are written in a way that made it feel like real people and not just characters in a drama. They don't necessarily react or behave in grand ways, but behave more so how people in the real world would. I especially liked Woo-ju's older sister and her story, and I found that I related to her the most. The leads had great chemistry and a lot of romantic tension that kept me interested in their relationship and eagerly waiting for them to act on their feelings. They were both very unhappy and lonely people, and seeing them seek comfort in each other and become happier people as a result was very beautiful to see. I also really liked Woo-ju as a character. I felt a lot of sympathy towards her and the things that she went through in her past, so when she makes bad decisions in the drama, I couldn't really turn against her. While this drama is slow, the revenge storyline adds a good amount of intrigue and excitement. So if you like melodramas, I'd highly recommend this one. The Glory was such a sad, intense drama that I found to be very hard to watch at times. But it was such a gripping drama with a great plot and characters. It follows our lead played by Sung Hae-kyo, who seeks revenge against her high school bullies after 15 years, and follows her journey from the very beginning to the end. It's not a very fast-paced drama, it's a revenge drama, so we get to see our lead meticulously execute her plans of revenge from the very beginning. She's playing the long game, and we get to see her strategize and find clever ways to achieve her goal, which is very interesting to follow. Sung Hae-kyo gave an amazing performance, and she helps make the protagonist easy to root for and like immediately. The drama also benefits from a great but truly evil set of antagonists. The writers do a great job at showing us just how terrible the antagonists are while still humanizing them by giving them insecurities and personal problems of their own. And they aren't humanized to the point of their actions being excused or justified either. The drama is also very consistent quality-wise. It stays good throughout and has a satisfying end. The only part of the drama I didn't love as much was the romance involving Sung Hae-kyo and Lee Do-hyun's characters, since I felt they didn't have much chemistry. But as individual characters, I really liked them. Overall, I think The Glory is among one of the best dramas of the year, and it was a really rewarding experience to watch. So, Castaway Diva was written by the same writer as Startup, and you can tell. Both dramas have a very similar formula and vibe, but Castaway Diva doesn't cause male lead-related trauma that Startup does. So don't worry, you're safe. So, Castaway Diva follows Mocha, played by Park Eun-bin, who becomes stranded on a deserted island for 15 years. When she's eventually found and brought back to civilization, she decides to pursue her dream of becoming a singer. So like Startup, this drama has one of the best, most heartbreaking first episodes I've ever seen. It does an amazing job at setting up Mocha's life before being stranded and makes you really feel for her and the other people in her life at that time. They also connect her dream of becoming a singer to some very tragic aspects of the drama. So my expectations were high for this drama. Like, I was expecting it to be my favorite of the year. But the drama doesn't quite live up to those expectations. Castaway Diva is kind of a victim of its own success in that sense. My main problem with this drama was the romance. As individual characters, I loved both of our leads. Hey wait, is that Potato Boy from Nevertheless? Oh my god. Okay, listen, everyone else might have moved on from Potato Boy, okay? And Nevertheless, because it's kind of just an okay drama, but I never did. I never moved on from Potato Boy. If I'm eating french fries, I'm like, hey, what happened to Potato Boy? If I see Han So-hee in a drama, when is Potato Boy going to be in a drama? If I see Sung Kang in a drama, what about Potato Boy? Okay, sorry, I'm exaggerating a little, but I was very excited when I saw he was going to be in a drama. Anyways, I loved both of the leads as individual characters, but I felt like their romance fell just a little bit flat. The writers built up a beautiful story to set up the romance in the very beginning of the drama, which set my expectations really high for it. But without going into too much detail, the way they go about the romantic relationship throughout the drama was a little bit odd to me. It felt like the leads didn't interact very much in the first half, and that the writers were relying on the backstory they established to carry the relationship for the rest of the drama. But personally, I need some crumbs throughout the drama for the romance to work. Like, you can't just stuff me with food at the very start and not expect me to be hungry for more later on. It does feel like the romance was sidelined a little too much for my liking. But don't get me wrong, the main romance is still very sweet and fun to watch, but I was just expecting more. With that said, I found a lot of other aspects of the drama met or surpassed my high expectations. For starters, the idol and music related aspects of this drama were done really well. Mocha has a very interesting relationship with our second female lead, someone who has experience in the music industry. And this relationship is used in a very unique way to explore Mocha's journey to becoming a singer. Also, the music in this drama is really good, and Park Eun-bin can really sing. And like I mentioned before, this drama has great characters. Mocha is an amazing lead. Despite all of the terrible things she's gone through in her life, she still has a positive attitude, so much respect and confidence in herself, and is so determined to achieve her goals despite people being against her. The male leads are great as well. Both of them are incredibly kind and caring characters, despite seeming a little cold at first. And pretty much every secondary character is likable and more nuanced than their initial archetype. Characters who you think will be purely antagonistic are later portrayed to be more complicated than that. And I think that kept the drama engaging and made it feel more realistic. The drama also has a very touching and heartbreaking storyline related to family, which I was not expecting, but thoroughly enjoyed. So despite the romance disappointing me, the rest of the drama was so enjoyable, and to me, Castaway Diva is still one of the best dramas of the year. The Good Bad Mother came out on April 26, 2023, but it came out 25 days too late because this drama was the biggest April Fool's joke of the year. The poster had cute pigs, the trailer showed a cute small town setting. Now tell me why this was one of the saddest dramas of the year and depleted the water supply of my eyes? Anyways, this drama follows a very strained mother and son relationship. After Jin Young-soon's very successful lawyer son gets into an accident and becomes a child mentally, she takes care of him, which paves the way for them to repair their relationship. Somehow the drama is incredibly tragic and heartbreaking and makes me ugly cry while also being really sweet and funny. And it never really feels jarring when its tone switches. It's also able to switch between genres pretty seamlessly for the most part, going from a slice of life comedy to a tragic family drama to a legal crime thriller all in one episode. Lee Do-hyun and Run Mi-ran give some of the best performances of the year, and they portray a vast range of emotions perfectly. You really feel the pain, regret, and even resentment both characters feel towards each other and their very flawed relationship. The secondary characters played by An Eun-jin and Yoo In-soo were so lovable and funny too. And the romance between Lee Do-hyun and An Eun-jin's characters, much like the rest of the drama, was so sweet and cute while also being so sad at the same time. We get to see their relationship develop from childhood to adulthood, and I enjoyed every second of it. I did have some issues with how some aspects of the mother-son relationship were written and concluded, and the ending was a little rushed, but overall, this is one of the best dramas of the year. I honestly contemplated dropping the drama after episode 1 because it's very dark from the get-go, and at that point in time, that wasn't really what I was in the mood for. But I found the drama to be immediately very gripping, engaging, and heartbreaking, and I decided to stick through it, and I'm so glad I did. Behind Your Touch is a drama that came totally out of the blue for me, but somehow it became my favorite of the year. So this drama follows a vet who under odd circumstances gets the ability to see people's memories when she touches their butt. And she uses this ability to help our male lead, a local police officer. The humor of this drama really clicked with me. It was silly and goofy, but I wouldn't say the drama resorted to potty humor despite the fact that it would have been very easy to do so given its storyline. The two leads had great and funny banter, together, and I love the way their relationship evolved. They go from two people who dislike each other to two people who deeply trust and respect each other and rely on each other during tough times. And the times get tough in this drama. I also really liked the small town setting and thought the neighbors were really funny. The drama starts off as a comedy mystery and leans more into the darker, mysterious elements as it goes on. Even though I initially liked this drama for the comedy and lightheartedness, the mystery of the drama is actually very well done, and it's not clear at all who the culprit is. So everyone becomes a suspect. And this really makes the drama a lot more thrilling and suspenseful than I was expecting. The drama does veer into the darker elements a little too much for my liking towards the end, but besides that, this was the one drama this year that had me counting down the days for the next episode every week. And it was super fun watching this as it aired and seeing people's theories on what would happen next. So that's my ranking. Even though 2023 wasn't the best year of dramas for me, I still found a lot of really great ones this year. Just want to say thank you to everyone who watched my videos this year, and I hope to create more K-pop and K-drama content throughout 2024. So if that interests you, make sure to subscribe.